own. Do not blink, do not skip ahead. Because the clue that identifies the most valuable penny in this video is something you can see with your own eyes. On a coin you may already own. These are 10 wheat pennies. Let us count them down. We start at number 10, and this coin teaches the first lesson every wheat penny hunter must learn before anything else. Because this lesson determines whether your collection is worth 10 cents, or $10, or 100. Look at this coin. The 1947 Lincoln wheat cent from the Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark above the date, just a blank space, which means Philadelphia, the oldest mint in the country, founded in 1792, still running today, and in 1947, Philadelphia struck over 190 million of these pennies. 190 million. In a single year, from a single mint, they poured out of the press and into every cash register and coin jar in America. You can feel the weight of that production in this coin right now. Look at Lincoln's portrait. The high points, his cheek, the hair detail above his ear, his chin, worn smooth. Flat, the way metal gets flat when it has been rubbing against other coins and pockets and register drawers for over 75 years. This is what circulation does. Slowly, quietly, one transaction at a time. The metal wears away, the detail disappears, and the collector value, which was never high for this common date, drops to its absolute floor. A circulated 1947 Philadelphia cent like this one, in the condition you are looking at right now, is worth between 25 cents and $1, depending on the buyer and the eye appeal of the specific coin. Now here is why that number matters. Because it is not zero. This coin is not face value. It is not 1 cent. It is worth at least 25 cents simply for being what it is. A genuine Lincoln wheat cent, over 3/4 of a century old, still intact, still readable, still carrying the face of Abraham Lincoln and the wheat stalks on the reverse that America used from 1909 all the way through 1958. Let me give you the full value picture for this date. A circulated 1947 Philadelphia in good condition, 25 cents. In very good, 50 cents. In fine, around $1. In very fine, $1 to $2. And here is where it starts to get interesting. An uncirculated 1947 Philadelphia cent, never circulated, still showing original mint red luster. In MS-63, around $3 to $4. In MS-65 red, $15 to $20. And in MS-66 or 67 red, $60 to $100. For a penny that poured out of Philadelphia in the millions in 1947. Why does the color designation matter when Lincoln wheat cents are graded by professional services? They receive a color designation in addition to their numeric grade, red coins. The ones that still carry the original bright copper luster from the day they were struck. Command enormous premiums because copper oxidizes over time. It fades from brilliant red to a soft reddish brown called red brown, and eventually to a deeper brown. And the red coins, the ones that somehow never oxidized, never turned, are genuinely scarce, even for common dates, because most of them faded decades ago. So here is your homework for every wheat penny you pull out of an old collection tonight. Look at the color, not the date, not the mint mark yet. The color first. If it still has a bright coppery red gleam, even a hint of original luster, that coin deserves a second look. Because a common date in common grade in brown is worth $1, the same common date in gem red is worth 100. The 1947 Philadelphia on your screen. Brown, worn face value to a casual buyer, $1 to a careful one. But the lesson it teaches is worth everything. Condition first, color second, date third, in that order. every time. For every wheat penny you ever examine for the rest of your collecting life, that is number 10. The 1947 Philadelphia, worth up to $100 as a certified gem red, worth $1 right now in the condition you see. And the first clue in this countdown toward a coin worth thousands, not same year, same mint. But what a difference proper handling makes. Number 9 shows you exactly what that means in real dollars and cents. Let us go. Number 9. And this is the moment I need your full attention. Because number 9 is the same coin as number 10. Same date, same mint, same denomination. But look at what is different. The 1947 Lincoln wheat cent again. But this time look at Lincoln's portrait. The detail is still present in a way number 10 cannot show you. The hair above Lincoln's ear still shows definition. The cheek still carries some of its original contour. The jacket lapel still shows texture. The coin has worn. Yes, it has circulated. Yes, but it has not been rubbed flat the way number 10 was. And that difference, in grades and in dollars, is significant, where number 10 grades somewhere in the good to very good range. This coin grades in the fine to very fine range. And the price difference between those two grades on a common date wheat penny is 3 to 5 times. Good condition, 25 to 50 cents. Fine condition, $1 to $2. Very fine condition, $2 to $4. Same coin, same year, but treated better by whoever carried it and stored it, and worth 4 to 5 times more as a result. Now let me tell you the story behind both of these 1947 cents. Because context makes the numbers meaningful. 1947. The war is over. America is celebrating. The soldiers have come home. The factories are retooling from weapons to appliances and automobiles. The baby boom has begun. The country is entering the most optimistic period in its modern history. And in the middle of all of that, the United States Mint is striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln wheat cents. Because America needs change. Literally, hundreds of millions of ordinary copper pennies to fuel the most prosperous economy in the history of the world. These cents went into every pocket, every cash register, every parking meter, every gumball machine, into the wishing wells at new suburban shopping centers, into the collections of children who were told by their parents to save their pennies, who kept them in glass jars on bedroom dressers, who showed them to grandparents as examples of careful saving. And here is the truth about those jars. Most of them still exist somewhere. In the back of closets, in storage units, in estate collections that have not been sorted in 40 years. And the wheat pennies inside those jars, the ones saved by careful parents in 1947 and 1948 and 1949, are sitting right now in exactly the condition they were put away in. Some still showing original luster, some still red, some still uncirculated. Still worth the premium that comes from a lifetime of careful keeping. For your better condition 1947 Philadelphia. You are looking at a coin worth $2 to $4 in the grade, visible on screen. Not life-changing, but real money for a 75-year-old penny. And a reminder that condition is not just about grading numbers. It is about the choices made by whoever had this coin over the last 3/4 of a century. Somebody handled this coin more carefully than the first one. Maybe they never knew why. Maybe it was just luck. But the result is sitting right here, worth 3 to 5 times more than its worn counterpart. Because of nothing but care. That is number 9. A second 1947 cent, worth $2 to $4 in very fine, and worth everything as a lesson about what careful handling means over time. Number 8 tells a darker story about what happens when storage goes wrong for decades, and the damage is the kind you cannot fix. Number 8. Number 8, and I want you to look very carefully at this coin, Because what you are seeing on this 1945 Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most common tragedies in all of coin collecting. And it happens slowly, silently, in drawers and jars and paper rolls, over years and decades, until one day you look at a coin that could have been worth real money and realize it is worth 10 cents. Look at the surface. The large reddish-brown stain to the right of Lincoln's bust, the smaller spots scattered across the fields, the dark discoloration in the corner near the date. This is chemical damage, likely from environmental exposure. Moisture, sulfur from nearby rubber bands or old cardboard. Contact with acidic paper rolls, the kind of casual storage that destroys coins over the course of decades without anyone knowing it is happening. This is verdigris and chemical spotting on a copper cent. The coin was struck in Philadelphia in 1945, the last full year of World War II. A coin that survived the Pacific Campaign, the Battle of Okinawa, VE Day and V-Shirk Day. That outlasted the war, and then got destroyed in a junk drawer sometime between 1960 and today. Before we talk about value, let me tell you about this year. Because 1945 matters. America in 1945 is producing everything at maximum capacity: steel, ships, aircraft, and coins. Lots of coins, because the war economy runs on payrolls, and payrolls require change. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion Lincoln wheat cents in 1945. 1 billion. From Philadelphia alone. More than any previous year in the wheat cent series up to that point. But here is what makes 1945 special in the world of wheat penny collecting. Earlier in the war, in 1943, the government switched Lincoln cent composition from copper to zinc-coated steel to save copper for the war effort. And those 1943 steel cents are highly collectible today. But by 1944 and continuing through 1945, the Mint was actually using recycled brass cartridge cases from spent ammunition. The pennies from these years carry a slightly different composition than pre-war bronze cents, and to a careful eye, a slightly different color. This 1945 cent on your screen, if it were undamaged and uncirculated, would be worth $15 to $25 in MS 65 red. In MS 66 red, $40 to $60. Because gem red examples of the 1945 are harder to find than the total mintage suggests. Most circulated, most toned, most spent. Like this one. But the damage you see eliminates that premium entirely. A spotted and chemically damaged 1945 Philadelphia, in circulated condition with this kind of environmental harm, is worth 10 cents. Face value. The damage is permanent. And here is the most important rule I can give you right now. Do not try to clean it. Do not use water. Do not use acetone unless you are a trained conservator who knows exactly what you are doing. Do not use any commercial coin cleaner or jewelry polish. Cleaning a coin removes original surface metal, creates hairlines visible under magnification at the professional level, and tells every grader and buyer who examines it that it was tampered with. A clean coin is worth less than a damaged one. Always, without exception. Accept this coin for what it is. A 10-cent piece with a beautiful story and a sad ending. And learn from it tonight. Store every coin you own right now in hard plastic holders. Acid-free flips. Airtight capsules. Away from rubber bands. Away from old paper rolls. Away from basement humidity. Away from attic heat. Because the coin you are carelessly storing today could be the one you are heartbroken about in 20 years. That is number 8. The 1945 Philadelphia. A $1 billion production run reduced to a 10-cent coin by decades of poor storage. And the most important preservation lesson in this entire video. Number 7 takes us further back, to a quieter America. before the war, before the draft, before everything. Number 7. Number 7. The 1937 Lincoln Wheat Cent from the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark above the date. And a coin that is now 88 years old. Look at the portrait. Lincoln's face is worn. The high points are smooth in the way they get smooth when decades of pocket friction have done their work. But the date is clean. The inscriptions are readable. This is an honestly circulated coin that has clearly been through a full lifetime of use. And it looks like it. 1937. Think about where America was that year. The Great Depression is not over. Not even close. The stock market crashed in 1929. And 8 years later, millions of Americans are still out of work, still standing in bread lines, still riding freight trains across the country looking for any kind of labor. Franklin Roosevelt is in his second term. The New Deal is running. But the economy is fragile. Another recession hits in 1937 itself, called the Roosevelt Recession. And unemployment climbs back towards 17% in that world. A penny was not symbolic. A penny was real money. You counted them. Every single one. You did not lose them. You did not spend them carelessly. You kept them. In glass jars, on the mantle. In coffee cans on the shelf. In the front pocket of your work pants. Because everything cost a penny or 2 or 5 in 1937 and you needed every one. This is the world that created the coin on your screen. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 309 million Lincoln Wheat Cents in 1937, a high production number. But the Depression-era coins have a characteristic that makes them interesting to collectors today. They were saved, not as collectibles, but as survival hoards. Working-class Americans in the 1930s kept coins because they had to, because the next day was uncertain. And a coffee can full of pennies was a kind of safety net when you had nothing else. Those hoards are being discovered today. In estate cleanouts, in old farmhouses, in attic trunks and basement shelving that have not been touched in 50 years. And sometimes inside those hoards are coins that never circulated, that went straight from someone's pocket change in 1937 into a coffee can and stayed there until today. Still brilliant, still red, still showing the full detail of the day they were struck. In circulated condition like this one. A 1937 Philadelphia grades in the good to fine range. Worth around 50 cents to $2. Not significant. But here is the gem story for this date. An uncirculated 1937 Philadelphia in MS65 red is worth around $30 to $50. In MS66 red, $60 to $80. And in MS67 red, which represents a truly exceptional strike with full original color and no imperfections, $200 to $300. For a penny struck during the Great Depression. That is the power of condition. And that is the power of the Depression-era hoard. The people who saved these coins out of necessity in 1937 created a time capsule that collectors today are paying serious money to open. Do you have any Depression-era coin hoards in your family? Old coffee cans, old jars, old collections from grandparents or great-grandparents who lived through the 1930s. If you do, check every penny, every single one, because a gem red 1937 from one of those hoards could be worth $200 to $300. If the luster has survived, that is number 7. The 1937 Philadelphia, worth up to $300 in certified MS67 red. And still hiding in Depression-era hoards across America. Number 6 comes from the most dramatic year in the 20th century, the year America went to war, and the San Francisco Mint was still striking pennies when it happened. Number 6. Number 6. The 1945 S. Lincoln Wheat Cent from the San Francisco Mint. And that small s above the date, that single letter, makes this coin part of a story that stretched from the shores of Pearl Harbor to the jungles of the Philippines, to the beaches of Normandy, to the final surrender aboard the U.S. Missouri. Look at the coin. The 1945 S. Circulated, worn at the high points, but still carrying something that the Philadelphia coins from the same year do not have. That small s above the date. San Francisco, the gateway to the Pacific, the mint that was closest to the theater of war that consumed the most American lives and resources in the first half of the 20th century. San Francisco in 1945 was not a quiet city. It was a port, an embarkation point, a place where soldiers and sailors shipped out to fight Japan, and where some of them came home, and where the coins struck there went into the pockets of workers at the shipyards and the aircraft factories and the military installations that lined the Bay Area. The San Francisco Mint struck about 400 million Lincoln Wheat Cents with the S mint mark in 1945. 400 million. A tremendous production run. But because San Francisco was a working city in a working war, almost all of those coins circulated immediately and heavily. They got worn. They got spent. They got lost. They came home in the pockets of veterans who were never quite sure what to do with their old change, and they ended up in coffee cans and coin rolls and junk drawers across the country, which is exactly why a truly uncirculated 1945 S is harder to find in top grade than the total mintage suggests. Same story as the Philadelphia coin. More coins made than survived in gem condition. Because this was wartime America, not a time when collectors were focused on setting aside pristine copper cents for future generations. The values tell the story. A circulated 1945 S in fine condition, $1 to $2. In very fine, $2 to $4. A step up from the Philadelphia coin because of the S mint mark premium. Collectors always pay a little more for a mint mark because it tells them something about where the coin came from and what it survived. In uncirculated condition. A 1945 S in MS63 red-brown, $8 to $12. In MS65 red, $25 to $40. In MS66 red, $50 to $75, and in MS67 red, $150 to $250 for a penny from the last year of World War II, with a mint mark that tells you it was struck at the mint closest to the Pacific theater of operations. Here is the emotional hook that makes this coin matter to the audience watching right now. If you are in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, your father or grandfather almost certainly handled coins like this, carried them home from service, kept them in a pocket or a wallet or a coffee can that got passed down through the family. If there is a coin collection in your family from that generation, look for the 1945 S, because a pristine example, still red, still sharp, could be worth $200 sitting in a coin folder that has not been touched in 50 years. That is number 6. The 1945 S, worth up to $250 in certified MS67 red, and a living piece of the greatest generation. Number 5 takes us back even further, to the darkest economic chapter in American history, the Great Depression, and a coin that survived it all. Number 5. Number 5. The 1934 Lincoln Wheat Cent from the Philadelphia Mint. And this coin is 92 years old. Look at the wear. Look at the dark brown patina that has built up over 9 decades of existence. Look at the soft, rounded edges of Lincoln's portrait that tell you this coin saw real circulation before it finally came to rest. 1934. America is 5 years into the Great Depression. 1 in 4 American workers is unemployed. Banks have been closing. Savings have been wiped out. Farms are failing. Families are leaving the Dust Bowl states for California with everything they own loaded into a truck. And in the middle of all of this, the United States Mint in Philadelphia is striking Lincoln wheat cents by the hundreds of millions. Because pennies still matter when everything is falling apart. Because a penny is something real, something you can hold, something that has value even when everything else has lost it. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 219 million Lincoln wheat cents in 1934. No mint mark. Struck in Philadelphia. Spread across a country that needed every denomination it could produce, this coin on your screen survived the Depression. It survived World War II. It survived the Korean War, the Civil Rights Movement, the space race, the Kennedy assassination, Vietnam, Watergate, the Bicentennial, Reagan, the Internet, September 11th, a global pandemic. And it is sitting right here, 92 years after it was struck, still carrying the face of Abraham Lincoln. In circulated condition. A 1934 Philadelphia in the condition visible on screen. Good to fine grade. Is worth around $1 to $3. Not significant value. But this coin is almost a century old and still intact. That alone is worth something. Here is the condition ladder for this date. Good to fine, $1 to $3. Very fine, $3 to $5. Extremely fine, $7 to $10. And here is where 1934 gets serious. An uncirculated 1934 Philadelphia in MS65 red is worth around $40 to $60. In MS66 red, $100 to $150, and in MS67 red, if such a coin exists in certified holders, certified into foful, $250 to $400, because 1934 gems in red are legitimately scarce. Most circulated for years before anyone thought to save them. Now, here is the Depression-era survivor angle that matters for this audience. The people who were children in 1934, born between 1925 and 1930, are now in their 90s and hundreds. Their children, the baby boomers, are in their 60s and 70s. And right now, across America, those baby boomer children are cleaning out their parents' homes, settling estates, going through attic boxes and basement shelves and closets full of a lifetime's worth of possessions. And in some of those boxes are the coin collections of Depression-era survivors, people who kept every penny, who hoarded copper, who understood that a coffee can full of change was real money when the banks closed. Those collections are being found today, and the coins inside them, the 1934s and the 1932s and the 1920s, sitting in original condition since the Roosevelt administration, are worth real money to collectors who know what they are looking at. You may be going through exactly one of those collections right now, and you may not know what you are holding. That is number 5, the 1934 Philadelphia. A Depression-era survivor worth up to $400 in certified gem red, and still turning up in estate collections across the country. Number 4 brings us to the S Mint mark again. But this time, from the last year of American peace before everything changed. Number 4. Number 4. The 1941 S Lincoln wheat cent from the San Francisco Mint. And the story behind this coin is one of the most dramatic in the entire wheat cent series. Look at the coin. The S above the date. San Francisco. Struck in 1941. The last full year of American peace before December 7th, before Pearl Harbor, before the draft, before everything changed. When the San Francisco Mint was striking these pennies in the spring and summer of 1941, nobody knew what was coming. American workers were collecting paychecks, spending pennies, going to movies and ball games, and the S Mint pennies poured out of the press and into circulation, not as collectibles, just as money, as ordinary American change. And then December 7th arrived, and everything was different. The San Francisco Mint kept running. But now it was running in a war city, a port city mobilizing for the Pacific Campaign, and the coins struck there after December 7th of 1941 carry a completely different historical weight than the ones struck before it. Though they look identical, the same Lincoln portrait, the same wheat stalks on the reverse. The same S mint mark. San Francisco struck approximately 462 million Lincoln wheat cents with the S mint mark in 1941, a large number. But here is what matters for collectors in 1941 specifically. There are documented die varieties for this date, subtle die characteristics that make certain 1941S examples distinctly different from standard strikes. And variety collectors, the specialists who hunt for exactly these kinds of subtle manufacturing differences, will pay premiums for confirmed examples. In circulated condition, a 1941S in fine, $1 to $2. In very fine, $2 to $4. In extremely fine, $5 to $8. These are modest numbers, but step up to gem uncirculated and the story changes completely. A 1941S in MS65 red is worth $30 to $50. In MS66 red, $60 to $100. And here is the key data point for the 1941S. Population reports from PCGs and NGC show relatively few examples at MS67 red, because the strike quality from San Francisco in this period was inconsistent. Getting a fully struck gem red example in the top grade range is genuinely hard, and when two registry set collectors need the same coin, the price reflects that reality. MS67 red 1941S examples have sold for $200 to $500 at competitive auction. For a penny struck the year before Pearl Harbor. Here is your assignment for this date. Go find any 1941 pennies in your collection. Look for the S above the date. If you find one that is still red, still uncirculated, still brilliant, get it professionally graded. Because a gem 1941S is worth real money, and every year, more of them get spent, or lost, or damaged. The supply only shrinks. That is number 4. The 1941S, worth up to $500 in certified top grade, and a living piece of the last year of American peace before World War II. Number 3 takes us back to the Roaring '20s, to a Philadelphia that was at the height of its power, and a coin that has survived a full century. Number 3. Number 3. The 1924 Lincoln wheat cent from the Philadelphia Mint. And this coin is 101 years old. 101 years. Think about what that means. When this penny was struck, Calvin Coolidge was president, Al Jolson was in vaudeville, the Model T Ford was the most common car in America, Babe Ruth was in his prime with the Yankees. The Great Depression was 5 years in the future, and nobody had any idea what was coming. Look at the coin. Deeply worn. A century of friction and handling has smoothed every high point. The lettering is still readable, the date is still clear, but Lincoln's portrait has been reduced to its essential outline. This is what 100 years of circulation does. Even if a coin stopped circulating 40 years ago, the wear it accumulated in its active years remains, forever in this circulated condition. A 1924 Philadelphia grades in the about good to good range, worth around 50 cents to $1.50, not a significant value. But this is a coin that is 1 century old. That connects whoever holds it directly to an America that no longer exists. Now, let me give you the full value picture. In very good condition. $3 to $5. In fine. $6 to $10. In very fine. $12 to $18. And here is where 1924 gets genuinely interesting. An uncirculated 1924 Philadelphia in MS63 red-brown is worth around $20 to $30. In MS65 red, $80 to $120. In MS-66 red, $200 to $300, and in MS-67 red. If a top-grade example exists, it would be a $400 coin, possibly more. Why does this date matter specifically? Because 1924 is in the heart of the 1920s, the decade that collectors call the Roaring Twenties. And the coins from this era are genuinely 100 years old. That century mark creates a psychological threshold for collectors. Coins that are over 100 years old feel different. They feel historical. They feel rare. Even common-date wheat pennies from the early 1920s carry a gravity that more recent dates do not. And here is the discovery angle for this audience specifically. In the 1920s, American families were not coin collectors. They were savers. The habit of putting coins away, in jars, in tins, under floorboards, in mattresses, was the Depression-era survivor instinct a few years before the Depression actually hit, and coins saved in 1924 and 1925 and 1926, in those original containers, are still being discovered today in estate cleanouts, in old homes, in family attics that have not been fully explored. A 1924 Philadelphia cent in MS-65 red, sitting in a coffee can since 1928, is worth $100 today. And it looks like a penny. Nothing more. That is number 3. The 1924 Philadelphia, 101 years old, worth up to $400 in certified gem red. And sitting in a century-old coin hoard near you right now. Number 2 has a mint mark that changes the story completely. A single letter below the date that doubled the value of this coin the moment it was struck in Denver. Number 2. Number 2. The 1927 D. Lincoln wheat cent from the Denver Mint. And that D above the date, that single letter, is the difference between a common coin and a collector coin. Look at it. The D. Below the date. Small, easy to miss if you are not looking carefully. But it tells you something important. This penny was struck at the Denver Mint, in Colorado, far from Philadelphia. And the Denver Mint in the 1920s was producing coins in much smaller quantities than Philadelphia. The total mintage for the 1927 D was approximately 27 million cents. 27 million. Compare that to Philadelphia in the same year, which struck over 144 million. 5 times as many. From one mint. In 1 year. Mintage matters to collectors. Fewer coins made means fewer surviving today, and fewer surviving in any given condition means higher prices for the ones that do exist. That is the iron law of numismatic supply and demand. And the 1927 D is one of the clearest examples of it in the entire Lincoln wheat cent series. This coin on your screen is worn. Moderately circulated. The D mint mark is still clearly visible above the date. Lincoln's portrait shows significant wear on the high points. The fields carry the marks of nearly a century of handling. In this condition, an about fine to fine grade. A 1927 D is worth around $6 to $10, compared to $3 to $5 for the same grade on a Philadelphia cent from the same year. The D mint mark premium is real, and it starts at the lowest grades. Move up to very fine. $15 to $25 for the 1927 D versus $8 to $12 for the Philadelphia. Step to extremely fine. $30 to $50. And now, uncirculated, this is where the Denver premium becomes genuinely significant. A 1927 D in MS-63 red-brown, $40 to $60. In MS-64 red, $80 to $120. In MS-65 red, $200 to $300. In MS-66 red, $500 to $800, and in MS-67 red, if such an example were certified. We are discussing a $1,000 penny, for a coin struck in Denver in 1927 from a total production run of 27 million. Here is the critical identification test for the 1927D, because there is a critical collector concern with this date. Die varieties. The Denver Mint in the 1920s produced coins with documented die anomalies, and some 1927D cents show characteristics that require careful examination. Under 10 power magnification. Look at the D mint mark. Is it strongly impressed, or does it look weak? Soft, almost not there. A strongly struck D mint mark on a 1927D is a better quality coin than a weak D example, and it grades accordingly. Also examine the date itself under magnification. The individual digits. Are they sharp and clear, or do they show any softness, any doubling, any sign of die deterioration? Sharp date, sharp D, original luster. These three elements together on a 1927D represent a coin worth real collector money. And here is the forward-looking angle. The 1927D Lincoln wheat cent is approaching 100 years old, the century mark, which creates a new threshold of historical significance for every collector. Coins that turn 100 attract attention. They attract new buyers. They attract storytelling. And they attract higher prices. The 19th 27D cent turns 100 in 2 years, in 2027. Right now is the moment to own examples in the best condition you can find. That is number 2. The 1927D, worth up to $1,000 in certified MS67 red, worth $6 to $10 in the honest circulated condition you see on screen, and about to reach its 100th birthday with collector demand only growing. And now, number 1, the coin that stopped experts cold when it first appeared in 1955, the coin that caused grown men to drive to coin shops at 10 at night, the coin that turned one ordinary penny into one of the most studied and documented and hunted errors in the entire history of American coinage. Number 1 is the reason this entire countdown exists. Number 1. Number 1. The 1955 Lincoln wheat cent. And I want you to look at this coin right now. Look at it carefully. Look at the date. Look at the word liberty above Lincoln's shoulder. Look at the motto, "In God We Trust," across the top. Do you see it? The date. The numbers look slightly thick, slightly doubled. The word liberty appears to have a shadow behind each letter. The motto, "In God We Trust," shows the same thickening, the same doubling effect on each letter. Each word. This coin on your screen is showing the key visual characteristics of the most famous error coin in modern American numismatics. The 1955 double die obverse, the Dido, the coin that is worth $1,200 in worn condition, $3,000 to $5,000 in fine to very fine, and up to $50,000 in gem uncirculated, for a single 1-cent piece. Let me tell you exactly what happened in 1955, and exactly why this coin exists. The year is 1955. The Philadelphia Mint is preparing working dies for the new Lincoln cent production run. The process of creating a working die involves striking the die blank with a hub, a master positive image of the coin design, multiple times, until the die has a sharp, complete impression of every detail. The hub strikes the die once, then again, and on a handful of dies in 1955, something went wrong. The die shifted. A microscopic movement between the first and second hub impressions. And that tiny shift, thousandths of an inch, created a die with a doubled image. Everything on the obverse, the date, the motto, the word liberty, every element struck twice, offset from itself. Visibly, with the naked eye, that die went into production before anyone caught the mistake. And between 20,000 and 40,000 coins were struck from it before it was pulled. Between 20 and 40,000. in a production run of hundreds of millions. They went straight into circulation, into coin rolls, into cash registers, into the pocket change of ordinary Americans in 1955. Who spent them? Without knowing. When the error was discovered, the mint tried to destroy as many as they could find. They could not find them all, because they were already in circulation, already in pockets, already spent. And the ones that survived, the ones that got saved by accident or by luck or by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed something strange in his change, those coins became legend. Now here is the most important information in this entire video. For the coin on your screen, and for every 1955 Lincoln cent you own, this coin is showing the visual characteristics of the dodo under examination. The doubling is visible. The date. Liberty. In God we trust. All showing the same offset doubling that defines the genuine error, but here is what you must understand. Machine doubling exists. It is common. It is worthless. And it can look similar to hub doubling in photographs. Machine doubling creates a shelf effect, a flat raised shelf alongside the design elements. Hub doubling creates a fully three-dimensional separate image. Both doubled images have full depth and detail. Both stand up from the surface. The difference requires professional examination, under proper lighting and magnification, by certified graders at PCGs or NGC. Here is what you must do right now, tonight with this coin. Do not sell it. Do not spend it. Do not trade it. And do not let anyone examine it who is not a professional numismatist. Place it in a hard plastic flip or an airtight holder. Write on the holder, do not spend. Possible 1955 DDO. Get this coin to PCGs or NGC for submission as soon as possible. If this coin authenticates as a genuine 1955 double die obverse, in the circulated condition visible on screen, it is worth between $1,200 and $5,000. Right now. Today, in the hobby market, where serious collectors are actively bidding on this exact coin. If it turns out to be machine doubling, it is still a 1955 wheat cent in decent circulated condition worth $1 to $3. You lose nothing by getting it checked, but you lose everything if you spend it or trade it before you find out. The 1955 DO is not a rumor. It is not an internet myth. It is documented, certified, sold at auction repeatedly, with a decades-long paper trail in the major collector publications and the certified coin registry. It is one of the most real and most valuable error coins in the history of American coinage. And this coin on your screen is showing the right visual characteristics. Get it authenticated. Tonight. Start the process tonight. Because this coin deserves a professional opinion. That is number one. The 1955 Lincoln wheat cent, worth up to $5,000 in circulated condition if authenticated as a genuine double die obverse, worth up to $50,000 in gem uncirculated,